right, Royal Palm Beach Strikers monthly soccer board meeting, April 18th, 2023. Call to order 6:34 p.m. If we can stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I know Amy's going to be here. She's running a little late. And unfortunately, Amanda is out due to some personal issues. In attendance, however, is Dave Corson, Corinne Corbacero, Fernando Casale, Vanessa Donadio, referee assigner and registrar Shanoy Ragaraj is present, as well as village liaison Brandon Pendergrass. Although Amanda Lamb is not present with us in person, she is joining us via telephone. Can you hear everything, Amanda, okay?
Yeah, everything's great, thank you.
All righty, awesome. All right, so the reading and approval of previous month's minutes. What we're going to do is we are going to shelf that until the next board meeting, as well as the treasurer's reports. We'll also be shelving that till the next meeting so that additional time could be given so that those are prepared properly. President's report. We are about 5 games, I think, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 games into the spring rec soccer season.
One more, 2 more. We are already 6 games.
It's been 6 already. 5 weeks, 6 into the spring season. And the program, and the recreation stories that come of what offer is seeing those returning members come back, because that is the greatest indicator of satisfaction of the service and the program that we're providing to the community. Open membership comments, anybody regarding the recreation program? We'll move forward from there. Unfinished business. We had the grand opening of Sean's Shack since our last board meeting. Was really, really nice to see Sean back out there and see how happy he was and how appreciative he was at the gesture that the board had suggested in renaming the concessions stand Sean's Shack. It was nice. It also gave the members of the program an opportunity to actually meet Sean and maybe see that the program is run by actual human beings and that they give up a lot of time, and ultimately the interest of the program is what their main concern is. So it's kind of nice putting faces together for the members in that. Social media presence. Our social media coordinator, Anna Casale, has been doing an awesome job with regards to promoting the program. She continues to have a huge presence on social media. I don't know what she does or how she does it, whatever. I see her at the fields constantly taking pictures, taking videos, promoting events. I know myself and Fernando took part in a little piece she put together to promote our coaches game that's going to be upcoming, where the referees will be losing to the coaches. And so that was kind of nice for her to put that together. All righty. Yeah, new business. And Shinoy, I didn't skip over the registrar and referee report because I knew I had put this as the first topic in new business. This way we can kind of talk about all the things all at once instead of bouncing all around. If you can come on up, Shinoy, as the, let's put your registrar hat on first. All right, Amy Santiago is now present. Thank you. We have shown both the minutes and the financial reports. Shinoy, for the recreation program, registrations for the spring season that we just completed, did you find anything that we need to do better job at, or working out the kinks of a new, the new system and how it's being offered, anything? Now, it's not just for U19, it's actually for U18 also, isn't it? It is U18.
All right. All right. If you're turning 18 in a seasonal playing year, so U18, U19, that's the complication. They have to go on there and they have to do their safe sport, and that's I mean, getting 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds to do something that I think is relatively simple apparently is not.
All right, all right. And then while I have you on here, I don't know if this is a registrar thing, but it's more of a question. Just because I want it on the record either way, I don't care what it is. I just want to make sure we're doing things the right way. With regards to minors playing an event against adults, is that allowable?
No.
Okay, and how old would
You
they
have to be no older than what would technically be U20, so 19-year-old to play, because you're not. We're not an adult organization.
Right.
So if you
So if it's not I don't want to say it's not part of our organization, it's an event that's part of our,
it doesn't. So here's the deal. At the end of the day, our insurance policy is binded by FYSA.
All right,
So anything
Alright.
outside of youth,
all right.
it's not a coach teaching a child. This is
Is would it also be a liability issue with regards
yeah,
to?
because if
injury,
God forbid somebody gets injured or something like
And I
that,
just
or
want to make
even
sure.
I hate to mention it. Let's say somebody grabbed somebody. We know how that can be
That's, I didn't look at that.
contributed. Grab like
Just feel
listen,
so
it
bad
could be
for the
attack-
handle right now.
soccer is a contact sport, and people will go down. But if I grab you inappropriately as an adult and a child, you get where I'm going.
Mm-hmm. And this is a serious topic. We're not laughing at the things that you're saying. It's
I'm trying to
because
make
the
it.
effect that this is going to have on one of the teams. That's why we're. That's why we're.
I mean, I don't see how it's possible to have.
All right, all right, all right. New business, and this is kind of a big one, and just kind of want to bring it up at the board meeting. Then we're kind of gonna discuss some things later on, because some things. Believe it or not, competitive programs, smooth, very, whatever. whatever reason, the recreation program resembled the Wild West, where there were no rules that were being abided by. And you know what, when I say it's unfair, because it's not the entire recreation program, it's just a handful of people. But the fact that people felt that they were able to do certain things was very disheartening. Whether, and it's, the referee's this, the referee's that, regardless of how bad a call might be or disagreement with the referee is, at the end of the day, you don't react in a manner which goes against the rules of not only the program but of the state affiliate.
So let me. We were jumping off of
Okay, but
registrar
just
stuff. So
and I brought an email that I had sent out to the program, and I'm going to read it. It's a little lengthy, but I think it's necessary to put on the record that we are doing anything and everything that we can do to make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to. Unacceptable behavior this past weekend. During this past weekend's recreation games, there were some disturbing displays of behavior by parents, spectators, players, and game officials. My concerns were shared in a message to the recreation program's members, but I would like the message to also serve as a reminder to our competitive program's members. Please see below. I'm very disappointed with the behavior displayed by several parents, spectators, players, and referees. I'm very disappointed with the behavior displayed by several parents, spectators, players, and referees during this past weekend's recreation soccer games. As a result, there will be parents, spectators, and players that will be suspended from the program, as well as some modifications related to the assignment of referees. Whether someone disagrees with the call of a referee and or has an issue with another member of the program, there are rules and expectations for our participants to adhere to. Regardless of the reasons, the behavior displayed was and is unacceptable. Cat Soccer Complex is not the Wild West, nor will it become such. The Royal Palm Beach Striker Soccer Program was established for the purpose of providing an enjoyable and safe development soccer program for the children of the community. Over time, not only has it become the largest youth sports program in the area, but it has also provided numerous children with educational and athletic opportunities in high school, college, and the professional levels. Also, it serves as a great venue that has provided thousands of children an opportunity to develop socialization skills with a variety of other children possessing other backgrounds, experiences, etc. A major reason for these achievements is due to the manner in which the program is operated and the culture that has been created. Since the inception of my leadership role, I, along with the other members of the board of directors, has managed the program as a family program and not. In fact, many of the children give back to the family in a variety of volunteer capacities, either during or after their participation in the program. With that in mind, there is zero tolerance for inappropriate behavior and or conduct by its members that may take away from the children's program. In addition to the program's expectations of its participants, there is also a code of conduct, code of ethics, that is mandated by the Florida Youth Soccer Association, which is the state of Florida's youth soccer governing body. Below is the FYSA code of conduct, code of ethics, which each member has agreed to upon their registration. And then I copied the FYSA code of ethics, which is broken down into a couple of sections. Player expectations, coaches, volunteer expectations, parents and spectators expectations, and then below all of that, the way that FYSA outlines all this. Failure to comply may result in the suspension of your privilege to participate in FYSA sanctioned events for the following periods. For a first offense, suspension for a minimum of 30 days to a maximum of 5 years. Second offense, suspension for a minimum of 1 year to a maximum of 10 years. Third offense, suspension for a minimum of 5 years to a maximum of 50 years. So the one that may or may not apply with some of the behavior out there would probably deal with the first offense, which would be a suspension for a minimum of 30 days to a maximum of 5 years. And now that is what FYSA would recommend, or is that the requirement?
So the requirement is you can go as low as the minimum. Since this is considered referee abuse, I can tell you if it went to FYSA, it will probably be going to a more of a maximum. You guys have the opportunity as an affiliate to instill your discipline here. So I would say, listen, the reality of it is, and I'm gonna.
And again, this doesn't just involve referees. This is parents on parents.
Yeah, this is
parents with referees. This is referees with parents. I mean, it goes both ways.
Well, so back referees don't apply, believe it or not, to the FY. They have their own code of ethics and they go through a different thing. But so I'm just going to say this: today is Tuesday, the 18th. A 30-day suspension would essentially eliminate somebody for the rest of the season. So I think that's more than, from everything I've reviewed from the referee reports, from the situation that occurred, I think for anybody, based on this weekend's events, a 30-day suspension would be sufficient. You can't go less than that, essentially, because if you do, FYSA is going to take it upon himself to do more. And just keep in mind, if you guys do go less than the minimum, and FYSA sustains it, you all can be suspended too.
And
on a whole, like just as a board member, you know what I mean, not instilling that. So just want to be careful with that aspect.
Okay, but not to confuse things either, because of the verbiage used, and I respect the fact that FYSA does say suspension for a minimum of 30 days to a maximum of 5 years for a first offense.
Yeah.
However, above it, it says failure to comply may result. Doesn't say it has to. And I'm not saying that I am not in agreement or with what you're suggesting or recommending or whatever. In my mind, I already have something set, which I'll discuss with the other board members, because this program has grown for a reason. And I know I personally don't have the patience to deal with that stuff. And the communication that was presented to me, a lot of angry people, a lot of angry people for a lot of different reasons, for what happened. I've been submitted video tapes, video footage of players, of referees, of parents, everything. So any suspension that's put down is going to be based on all of that. In addition to that, I have spoken with several parents, players, coaches, and referees. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for the incidents that took place on Saturday, but based on all of the conversations that I've had and the things that have been submitted to me, some on behalf of the referees, some on behalf of the players, some on behalf of the parents, or whatever. Bottom line is, and again, because I do not want this to get misinterpreted, poor quality of refereeing, I don't want to say that that's part of the game, but there's no excuse for any reaction to bad refereeing. So, period.
So I'll just, I mean, in line of what you're saying, I'm gonna.
And just one of the analogies I used, because during a game, somebody wasn't happy with a call, and they made sure they let the referee know afterwards. And in another instance, somebody had walked on the field during the game, blah, blah, blah. The analogy that I had used is, if your child were to have received a poor grade on an exam, would you barge into the school and into the classroom and start verbally abusing the teacher of the class? Or would you call the school and possibly set up an appointment to speak with the teacher, guidance counselor, principal, to discuss it there? No difference. That's teaching in the classroom. This is teaching and playing on a soccer field. The same difference. So I don't need you or anybody else to tell me that it's not the referee's fault or this or this. Referees make mistakes. If mistakes are made, mistakes were made. There's a line and there are boundaries that you do not cross regardless of what the reason is.
So
Period.
what I was going to say is, regardless if the referee is completely unprofessional, which is not something I encourage or anything like that, but if they're unprofessional and you don't like the language they use, I hate to say it, you kind of have to suck it up, for lack of a better term. I'm not saying that you can't address the situation, but that's my role. Send me an email. Email me with the complaint. I don't want to put my phone number's not going to go out there because I'm honestly not going to answer in any case. But send me a message, or you can send it to you and you can forward it on to me. Whatever. I will address those issues. You do not, as a coach, player, parent, spectator, board member, you do not have the opportunity to go out on the field and correct the referees.
And we're all in agreement as a
So-
board that regardless of what a situation, at no time does that situation call for a parent to step on the field or to get in the face or verbally abuse before, during, or after the game. We're all in agreement on that.
I mean, that's standard. So
And it's important that it's important that we're all agreeing on that and we're separating the two, because the quality of the officiating is also an issue. But I do not want this to appear as if, because of the quality of the officiating, it's justifiable for this to happen. No,
Well,
not
that's still-
justifiable under any circumstance. However, we got to do a much better job with the quality of the officiating that we're receiving. And I'm going to say the last 2 to 3 years, it's really been going down to the point where I should never step foot on that field and not know who a referee is. Because if I don't know who a referee is, there's a good chance they're brand spanking new. Or like they're not experienced. Because if they're experienced, I'm going to know who they are. Period. Whether they come here or at another club, I get around enough to know who all of them are. We have certain criteria that we have put into place that eliminates or disqualifies certain people from refereeing at events in our program. And those had been board approved years ago, and they were created due to a bunch of concerns that the board as a whole had for the well-being of our program and for the well-being of the growth of our program. So those criteria were put into place for that. I know the most common trendy thing to say now is there's a shortage in referees. And I get that. But if there's a shortage in referees, I'm not sure why Royal Palm is getting the bottom of the barrel, because I know the quality of referees that we're getting, not even close to other programs in the area where the shortages also apply to them too. However, they are not. It's like, I'm not sure. I encourage the kids in our program to go out and get certified. Recreation program, great place for them to learn it. When they're with an experienced referee whose main objective out there not only is to officiate properly, but is also willing to assist and teach these kids while at the same time having the club's best interest at heart. All right? If referees have an issue with our program or with the people in our program or the way our program is run, I don't want those referees anywhere near our fields. They're doing the program a disservice. They're doing themselves a disservice. Go work where you're going to be happy. This isn't like a prison sentence, And I think I'm a little bit more sensitive to the quality of the refereeing this season because I've really, really, really seen it down south where it is absolutely, it's hard to believe some of these referees even took an exam to be a referee. It really appears down south, people are just being handpicked off the street. And, oh, you speak this language? Oh, you speak this language? Oh, so then you should know how to referee. And it's, I don't know, is that a insensitive thing to say? Again, and like I told the people this week, and what was it? What was that? The Conor McGregor quote says, "I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to absolutely nobody for any comments that I'm making right now, because I know where these comments are coming from. They're being made with the utmost respect to people, but this isn't about people. This is about like a bigger thing. The game is so much bigger than people. I could be gone tomorrow. Vanessa could be gone. Fernando, program's still gonna be here. It's like we're just pieces. We're just pieces, and next person comes in, and hopefully everybody continues to run the thing.
But here's my thing with that. I will tell you, obviously, I mean, I know you said you don't want it, but there is that shortage. There is not enough. There are individuals who will say they're available, and then when they get their assignments, oh, I'm sick, or I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this. Unfortunately, I got to say this weekend was bad. I got complaints from referees who I've never gotten a complaint about, and they were very unhappy about this weekend here in Royal Palm. Like, I'm not talking about people that you would never expect. The most friend, I had one of our most easygoing thing, and he said to me, "I wanted to throw people out," and I'm like, "Are you like from you? That takes a lot, because honestly, I can't tell you when that the man's in his 60s now, but he's been here forever."
One of our best. One of our best that is out here for the love of the game and for the well-being of the kids. And in every aspect, he is. You don't even have to mention the person. Just by the way he was described, I know exactly who you're speaking about.
And he did not want to be here after the event. And this is on Sunday. That's not even the Saturday. This is Sunday. He was like, "I can't believe it."
But let's look at the root of the cause. Again, is anything justifiable? No. But again, let's go backwards and look at the root of the cause. Hold on here. Everybody watches the news. When people see that rules can be broken and stores can be broken into and nothing's going to happen to them, it's going to encourage people to break into stores and get some free things because they know nothing's going to happen to them, right? So when you have expectations of something, you're going to react accordingly based on those things. So, for example, if somebody sees an official that they believe is incompetent for whatever the reason was, the parent might not understand the rules. There might be miscommunication, or the official might have just made a bad call, wrong call. When that expectation, now next time you see that official, you feel that that's the same experience. So now it's up to us to prevent the people from, quote unquote, breaking into the stores. Okay? You broke into a store, you're not going to go back into another store without some type of a penalty or sanction. So, and again, nobody can say I'm sitting up here being biased towards the referees, biased towards the parents, or whatever. everybody had a little play in this. And to make sure that everybody gets back on track, we as a board have to make some decisions where people are removed from the program, which we will discuss, not on record here, because this isn't the forum to do that in. But without that, if those things aren't being done, then this is going to spiral downward. At the same time, I feel the same should be done with regards to referees. Not removed from the program, but modifications in their assignments. If they have it, you know what, this might be a little too much of an age group for them, let's bring them down here. What I was thinking, and I was actually talking to one of the referees today, and we both agreed that, we have to do a better job as a program, and the referee assigner has to do a better job as the assigner in educating people. The assigner educating the referees, and us up here educating the coaches, the parents, everybody. All right. Maybe we have our annual or our semi-annual coaches meeting every year. Maybe that should be turned into more of an instructional event where the rules are outlined in a more detailed, fashion. Whatever. I don't expect to see a referee, hypothetical, doing U8, pulling yellow cards out left and right on 6-year-olds. I don't think that's appropriate. Okay, I think, and again, I'm not the expert in refereeing. However, I think I'm an expert in how to treat people. And I think that maybe in a situation where a 6-year-old commits a foul repeatedly, if I'm a referee, maybe I walk over to the coach, say, you need to take the person off the field and let them know they're doing this or that wrong or whatever, let them calm down or whatever, but just let them know things like that can't be done instead of pulling yellow cards out. Yellow card for a 6-year-old. Parents are going to freak out. You're throwing my kid out. What the hell is it? I mean, you see what I'm saying? And they got these 6-year-olds crying like they're being ejected from games, and it's like,
I completely agree with you.
yeah.
I completely agree with you, but from what I gathered, and I wasn't there this weekend, was part of it stemmed from maybe the earlier game where the parents were just going crazy
And
they're like, "What are you doing, referee? Why are you not doing?" And so there's a little bit of
I had even
both sides to it.
spoke with the referee of the second game on Saturday that was in question, the younger one. I spoke with him today.
Oh, you're talking about U12. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you meant 8 something.
I spoke with him, and I suggested to him, is it possible that parents were riled up from the first game, and because now the second game starts, you've got the second parents there with the remainder of the first parents there, is it possible that that kind of spiraled and everybody was feeding off that emotion, and unfortunately you received the brunt of things because you jumped into a situation where the emotions were very high.
And I think that's also what happened on Sunday with the U8s, if I'm not mistaken.
UH, that was an interesting thing because, like I said, I wasn't able to be there. I was up in Tampa on Saturday, and on Sunday we had a game in Tampa also. Left the field immediately from Tampa, flew down here to make all the rec stuff. First thing I did was I made my rounds the entire complex, and at each game I gathered all the parents, and I explained to them my disappointment. This isn't going to happen. These are the rules that we have. If anybody feels like they can't abide by these rules or that they're unhappy with these rules, they need to go find another program because it's not going to happen here. Make my rounds. Perfect. I'm like, so stressed out. I'm just going to go over here to a UA game. Let me just relax and just get away from all this nonsense and just relax and watch this game. And as I'm walking over, yellow, yellow, parent run on the field, parent run on the field. Yeah, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. The officials in tears. Felt horrible. One of the parents that entered the field there about 30 minutes prior, I had spoken with because I was told that ball went out of bounds. He held on to the ball, and so he can yell at the referee, and basically the game was stopped. I told him I was just advised of that. That's not going to happen here anymore. Are we good? We understand each other. This, okay, but happen again? This isn't. This doesn't. What's the word I'm looking for? Not discriminate. Like not. It doesn't not apply. That's a double negative. This applies to like every age group. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
matter
I'm
what the age group. And have you guys ever heard the first casualty of emotion is reason? Think about that. The first casualty of emotion is reason.
I don't know what.
Somebody's emotional, the first thing that goes is their ability to reason and think properly. That's when mistakes are made because of the emotions.
I don't know. Listen, not this past weekend. The weekend before, I spent pretty much the majority of the Saturday in there watching all the games, watching all the referees. There wasn't one issue. You know, one thing, hey, have them step off the line a little bit. Like, no big deal. You know, that's like minor. Then Saturday, I'm in Orlando and I'm getting these calls. I'm like, what the? What is going on there? And I get another set of calls. And I'm like,
Well, I feel bad because I can sympathize with a parent when they feel that they have to do something to protect their child. I also sympathize with the referees, and as I explained to all of the parents on Saturday or on Sunday at there, imagine if that was your kid out here trying to make money, good starter job, enjoying the game, staying out of trouble out here making money, and having adults verbally attack your child. How would you feel?
and that's the problem, honestly, with regards to getting referees. There are several of you board members that have kids that are refereed who don't want to do it. For that very same reason. They don't want to be yelled at by a coach. They don't want to be yelled at by another parent.
You have the president and DOC of the program that was certified to referee and has never refereed a game because he knows he will not be able to handle people yelling out at him and challenging his calls and this and that. And I'm being honest. I know I won't be able to keep my. Are you kidding me? Like you're gonna tell me what to call? Like I know who. Like I know who I am. You know. So I'm not gonna put myself in that situation. So.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I could.
But the bottom line, though, Shinoy,
I think we
you
all
have to do a better job with the referees. We have to do a better job with the parents, the coaches, and ultimately, that's my responsibility personally, and I will accept that responsibility, not just the coaches but the parents, And the feedback that I received after that email was sent out, bravo, thank you, it's about time. This is why we keep coming back. The overwhelming support for the stance that we're taking here, plus for taking the time to speak to all the parents on Sunday to let them know whatever happened yesterday, that's not going to happen again. So I have no issues with, and obviously I'm overblowing this, I have no problem removing 100 people from the program in order to save 600.
It's always a.
You know what I mean? Obviously, that's not the case here. The case we're talking about 4, 5, maybe people.
Honestly, I think there was very few, and unfortunately for whatever it was this weekend, though. I mean, like you said, we made it to more than halfway past the program. We had all of the fall season, and we didn't have any issues. We had whatever happened over this past Saturday and Sunday is beyond me in terms of.
And so Brandon doesn't sit there thinking like, oh my God, what happened?
No, so
There was nothing, there was nothing, yeah, like
Listen,
some crazy,
I've
it
been-
was just,
I've been here longer
or
than
just
all
yelling
of you
at
guys.
referees and like, just, man, calm down. Like, you know what I mean? It's recreation soccer.
Yeah.
You know, they're kids. You know, this is something like every club in the state probably has to talk about regarding competitive. You know what I mean? It's like because when you cross that line between rec and something happened. People like change.
Yeah.
Little Billy over here should now be on the World Cup team as a 6-year-old. Like it's something changes mentally. But this is still it's rec, and like there's something happened yet on Saturday. Just
So even the few of the referees that complained to me, they're like, I don't know what it was, but they're like direct, you know, like did not well behave, not an issue, not one thing like anybody, because they were like, I just don't know what it was. And I can tell you, I've been here longer than every one of you guys, and this is the second time in history I could remember the police being called to Catskill for an incident.
I think the first one you called, didn't you? The guy tried to run you over in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, oh,
3 times.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. Well, actually, I'm sorry. So then this would be the third one. This would be the third one. Yeah. So, yeah. And I was a spectator then. I wasn't even the referee.
So and again, you know, the whole thing that I'm trying to say here, number one, board members got to be out there on Saturdays. You got to do your best to get out there. It can't be a thing. And I told the parents, well, you weren't here. That's why it happened. You know what? If you all need me to be out here to babysit you, then that's a problem. Then you don't need to be out here. You know what I'm saying? No, that's
Amy,
like.
I think I need to stop buying those Celsius drinks. We did throw them out there this weekend. I think that might have put them a little over.
Oh, we're selling Celsius? Oh.
That's, yeah, maybe
That's my drug of choice.
I couldn't tell you. Like I said, this was just an anomaly of a weekend for whatever reason. And
But you know what? Good. We caught things, and we're gonna nip it in the bud. And you know, unfortunately, there's gonna be some suspensions to, and when I say handful, like
like I said,
fingerfuls. Like
believe
I
it or
mean,
not,
it's
I
like,
only have, for everything that I got, there was only one individual that I would say probably, based on what, listen, whatever you guys dealt with, I'm just telling you from everything I got from the referees, there's only one individual that warrants that 30-day suspension. I think you can't
all right.
physically get into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's yelling and screaming, and you can deal with that however you want to deal with that.
All righty. So we'll, like I said, we'll at some point afterwards, just briefly, because again, names and all that stuff shouldn't be discussed, you know, publicly like this. That's not appropriate. There's minors involved. Those names won't be.
And just
Also,
for the record-
I have a video of a player double fingering another player on the
Well,
field. Like,
Hang on a second. You may want to clarify how you said that, but just for the record,
oh,
just for the record, as
Give
far
him
as
the
I
bird.
know,
giving the bird.
as far as I know, there wasn't a player issue in terms of like usually it's a players that get into it and then they suck the
Well,
parents
from-
into it. I'm just saying for the
Well,
like that
the
probably-
big incident was the result, from what I'm being told, from the dissent of one player. Dissent was given to the referee about repeated calls,
yeah, but this is not like a foul or something.
and the referee, in a very loud manner, basically said, like, you all should be referees then, or you need to go to the classes, or something to that extent.
yeah.
And then from all of the statements, so to speak, that I took, some of the parents had an issue with the fact that the referee was yelling at their child. And that was the big one.
Yeah, but I was like, it wasn't like normally it's a foul, somebody gets punched or something like that. Like this was obviously. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I mean, like I said, I was shocked. Like
Yeah.
when you said U8 in terms of like the Sunday thing, like these are 6 and 7-year-old kids. Like, who? I mean, honestly,
So we'll see, but again, I just wanted to discuss this at length, to not only show that we care, but to show that we're responsible in our responsibilities to
the only other thing
make
is,
sure things like this don't
I
happen.
could probably say is like, back several years, and I don't think we've needed it, but we used to have the even at rec, we'd have the field marshals go around, and I don't know if just because at the end of the day, there's what 2, 4, 6 of you guys, 7. You can't be there every single Saturday, every single Sunday for.
Volunteer field marshals wouldn't have made any difference with
I,
the things that
no,
are
I'm just
going
I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't there. I don't know, but that's the only. And once again, you didn't have an incident all year, all of last. You know what I mean?
All
So
right.
it's like I don't know. Just don't
All
know.
right.
This
So and me and you can talk about, like there's just certain. Let's just make sure there's certain people. It might be a little much at certain thing. I remember though, again, without mentioning names or anything like that, one individual who played and then refereed for years. We had a big ceremony for him. I mean, he refereed until, like, my goodness, like in the 90s, it felt like, or whatever. And his assignments, as he got older,
yeah.
started to be modified where he was going lesser age groups, which made it easier for him to be able to do his job as efficiently as possible. Maybe we have to do some things like that. And again, I get it. We have criteria. The criteria is going to stay in place. Jacob, just okay, good. I don't want it to be like new guy, and then maybe our neighbor get senior guy. Like,
Well,
that's not
and I mean,
fair.
here's the thing. But part of the problem is, and this is what I was saying, the newer guys. This is what rec is designed for.
Absolutely.
And not that was my big issue with that game on Saturday is that they were the 2 newest members were maybe your players, one of you guys are players.
No,
whatever.
one of them was a linesman.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
But the other one was a very seasoned,
no, yeah, that's
experienced
what I'm saying,
one.
and that's who you learn from. You know what I mean? Both of them. I mean,
Yeah, but the new guy learned a lot of bad things that day from the experienced ones.
and that's not supposed. But what I'm saying is that's at the end of the day, and I will say this 101 times to everybody because I deal with this more on the competitive side of things. As for any team, the rec teams, they're practicing twice a week, 2 hours, right? Generally speaking. When are those referees practicing together?
Mm-hmm.
That is it. That is the game. They show up. They don't have an opportunity to go through these motions. They don't have an opportunity to. We don't record.
But they at least before the game should have that 2 to 3 minute discussion.
So they do.
Hey,
have that,
if you're not sure of a call, look over. I'll point in what direction to
so
give you a hand.
They do the
something.
pregame, and I know that for a fact that referee in that one game did a pregame. He's sure, and so did the new.
If you're not sure about a call, scratch your head, do something to let me know
And all
so
that-
that I can bail
One
you
of my
out.
point is like at some point in time, the rec will have to. I mean, hate to say it, sacrifice with the newer referees.
Well, the rec is an instructional league. I get it. But we can't have the rec be an instructional league at the expense of the members that are counting on us to provide proper instruction. So you can't receive proper instruction if somebody is out there fighting against that progress we're trying to make.
2 out of 3. What I'm saying is 2 out of 3 experienced referee to 1.
No, in that case, it has nothing to do with the
It
the
wasn't
placement
experience
of
or
the
any of that
referees.
stuff. So that's what I'm saying. That's one of the things that the factors that unfortunately, and like I said, and I'm just really shocked that all this stuff happened on what I consider small-sided of events. because it should never. And that's one of the reasons why those individuals are on those fields is because they're lesser experienced. They're helping to train some of the older ones. Let's be realistic. Some of the older guys, I will take the 14, 15-year-old kid that has no experience, but at least he can run on the line as compared to.
Or maybe put like some kind of, thing,
Euro.
a little like a point system or scorecard for you or something like that with
We are
regards to newer referees.
Yeah, but I'm
don't
technically
do
forbidden
over-
from doing that, believe it or not.
No, but newer referees, the first year, they don't do over U12. They don't do full
But
sided
see,
or something. Just to give them an
I
opportunity.
know,
to
I get
comfortable.
it, but trust me, I
No.
work on that, but there's no universal system for doing it. What I mean by that is, your 16-year-old kid that plays that just became a referee will probably do better than the 30-year-old guy that's been refereeing for the
Who's
past
been
10
out of
years
it.
because he's also a player. He can keep up with the play. He can run and move on a 14 to 16 game better than that guy. So that's why I said you can't always. It's a delicate balancing act, and a big part of the problem is, I'll tell you this: it's great to have all these young kids that are playing and are good referees, but part of the problem is they're playing. So when you have a game in Tampa, where does 4 referees disappear to? That's more than a whole referee crew gone to Tampa for Saturday and Sunday. So that's.
But we're doing that with multiple teams.
I understand what I'm saying is, but it happens. There's lots of times when multiple of you guys are gone the same. Even if you had a game in Gardens or Jupiter, they're pretty much gone for the whole day.
All right.
So that's the bad part. It's good to have referee players, but it's also bad in the same sense. Just like referee coaches. Great, but if you're traveling and you're gone, you do me no good on any given Saturday or Sunday.
Now the fees for referees at Royal Palm, how do they stack up with neighboring
So
clubs?
up until I would say last year, they were on par. It's a vicious cycle, and I hate to get into it in terms of but our biggest competitor is Gardens with regards to recreation for referees. Well, when we were here and they were here, what do you think they did? They went here. So what is our option? We can go here and meet them, which is really not because they get slightly better benefits in Gardens, and I don't want to. So we have to go here.
Well,
Which-
we're not gonna get into some kind of a pay war, whatever.
Well,
This
it's
is
not really a pay war, but it happens. It's inevitable that it'll happen. And I mean, I think I think it's maybe time that we raise the rates slightly in rec, not you know what I mean? Not to match, but at the end of the day, everything has gone up. Same thing for these kids that have to get a car or gas or whatever.
All right, let's move on, or we're gonna be here forever. Let's see. Parent-player conduct discussed. Suspensions discussed. Education for spectators discussed. 7:26 recreation adjournment. If somebody would like to put in a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the recreation portion of the meeting at 7:26 p.m.
I'll second it.
Any objections? All right, recreation adjournment at 7:27 p.m. Call to order competitive programs portion of the meeting. President's Cup. Are you 17 boys team? Recently competed up in Tampa in the State Cup, which is the highest level of competition, the largest tournament in the state that you can participate at with the highest quality teams. Random draws, brackets are created, 32 teams invited. Unfortunately, our U17 boys were randomly placed in the group of death, so to speak. The first team we played in Tampa on Saturday was the number 1 team in the nation, not in the state, in the nation. They won the state cup last year, advanced to the nationals, won the nationals. This year they've been steamrolling everybody. We went up there with 12 guys. One of them being our backup goalkeeper. So 11 guys. But he worked so hard, that boy. 12 guys. Hot as hell out there. Fell down 2-0 early. Team was far superior. We made some adjustments. So I pulled them off. So we were playing 10 versus 11. We ended up scoring a goal. So 2-1. Halftime. Go back in. We get a penalty kick called for us. Center ref runs to the spot, points for a penalty kick, and somehow the assistant referee talked the head referee out of giving a penalty kick to us. Said that the ball went out of bounds. And in my very calm manner, which I believe I was under the circumstances, it was explained to me that the ball had gone out of bounds. That's why the penalty kick wasn't called. I tried to explain that the guy carrying the ball got fouled and the ball went out of bounds after he got fouled. Whatever. We ended up losing 2-1. Boys played their asses off. Boy, the respect at that complex that those boys gained on that day. And ironically enough, one of the neighboring clubs just happened to be playing right on the field next to us. And they were all excited prior to get like a front row seat to watch this, what was going to happen to us. And by the end of the game, well, they lost their game, but by the end against an inferior team. But by the end of the game, the parents of that team were basically watching our game, and they all were commending the boys and all that. And I know it killed them, but great job. And then we were just so proud of ourselves and excited that we went out the next day and lost. So we have one more game, and believe it or not, because this is the group of death and everybody's beating up everybody except for that number one team, we actually can win our last game and we can still advance if some tie-breaking situations go our way. So really proud of the guys. First year competing at the state cup level. Great job to everybody involved. The treasurer's report, registrar's report, treasurer's report, and the minutes. Same thing as for the recreation program. They will be shelved to our next board meeting. League reports. Palm Beach League late season is currently underway. I guess it's not Palm Beach League anymore. It's the Florida Soccer League. Oh, just the Florida League? TFL, the Florida League? The Florida League is its new name. We continue to support them. This league is the first place all teams are quote unquote asked to participate in. It's like asked with like a capital A, and we have them compete in the Florida League at least two times, out of the 3 seasons they offer. So nice league. Hopefully all the other teams in the area, all the other clubs in the area would support them the way that we have been doing throughout the years. And hopefully the Florida League always keeps in mind our continued support of them and all how nice we've been over the years and just what good people we are over here. All right.
Do we know what's going on?
You're good now. You got
All right. Registrar referee report for the competitive program. Shinoy, do you have anything? All right. No, and again, because I don't want this to be misconstrued or me to be misquoted or anything like that, I request and I want our players currently that are in our program to get as much assignments, refereeing games, because I'm hoping that these will be the same people like the future of our referees. And you get them experience and everything so they no longer are the inexperienced ones. You know, get them as much. What I'm asking for is make sure they have some help with them. Make sure that, you know, and don't throw them to the wolves. Yeah, very good. Yeah, based on your thing, how has the behavior of parents been on the competitive side? Yeah, and I mean, this has been, geez, I don't even want to say it. Just, we're going to skip over that, but, because I know I'm going to jinx it or something. Oh, yeah, when you're away. Yeah, but did you see that? No, you didn't see that. He wasn't there. Was he there yet?
Yes,
No, he wasn't there yet.
he was at the one in Stewart.
In Stewart?
Yes.
You saw that one?
Yeah.
From the beginning? I didn't know
Just a
from
few
the
minutes
beginning.
in, but he-
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All righty.
No, that's SBL.
Premier League. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
And I want to, but I want to commend on the State Cup games,
Oh,
the regional referees that were assigned for the 17 game over here, and you said it was a stroke of luck or whatever. Man, that would be nice to have that kind of quality all the time. Obviously, the regional referees, you can't, but I mean, they did a great job. I give credit where credit's due. We also had a nice referee up in Tampa,
Yes.
center guy. What's his name?
Saturday game.
You remember? I asked him his name, like a blondish guy. He can speak a bunch of different languages. This guy. Yeah, just some blonde guy. All righty.
He did speak a lot of languages.
No, that's understandable. And he's an adult, so we'll tell Diego to be a little bit more cognizant.
The ref's name was Stefan.
Yeah, oh, you got it. Awesome. I was going to ask you.
I did tell him that when we discussed it.
But you can't play it down, though. You can only play it up. Yes. Oh, okay. I thought you meant just going back down. And what about guest playing?
But you can't get a pass.
So rec players in our own club can no longer guest play with our competitive teams?
You can't get a pass, correct? So
You can't make a recreational pass? So in order for them to play, they have to guest play.
they have to register.
They
under
have to
competitive.
register. So then what we have to do is we have to create a competitive guest player fee. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, it's,
Yeah, 'cause you can't go back and forth.
all righty. That'll be something to think about. All right. All right. Unfinished business, referee assignment. Okay, go away with the referee stuff. The social media presence. And if somebody can forward this information to Anna. And again, I'm not like the social media expert here. What I'm going for is like followers and likes and all of that stuff. Like I want that to obviously as well as like getting our name and everything out there. Let's create as big of a base as we can. Like some ideas that we can, hey, like us, or hey, follow us on this, or like us on this, or I'd like to have, like, is there like a link? Again, this is how stupid I am. Like, is there like, if there's a way that I could get sent a link for our homepage for Facebook, our homepage for TikTok, our homepage for Instagram, and post those on somewhere. Hey, follow us and like us on social media or something like that, and blast it out. And then, you click on it, they follow us, like it, click on it, move. But like encourage people to do that as opposed to just looking at stuff and hopefully once they're there they like it, but like flat out tell them to
Put on the
follow
website
us.
and you have it where they can follow us on Instagram.
Well, we have that
No,
board.
I know they can do that, but
You have that
but
board
I
in the
want
middle
it,
of the
but I want it
concessions?
nice and easy, like
You could do
whatever
QR
that word
codes
is,
at the
proof.
concession stand.
just
And then,
basically, yeah, QR code maybe for each of them or something or
And then we
whatever,
can put it on the board in the.
and just put follow us and like us on social media and list all three of them. And you click boom.
Oh, the kids special.
Or rather than do that, just put on that thing, follow us and like us on that. There will be long for get a social media. Something.
I know on our team we do have a player that constantly is sharing and
Just pushing
sharing.
out.
Yes.
Good. All right.
So we can do like QR codes and post it into that board, and then they can just go
Alright.
up and scan it.
Where I attacked that poor teenager. I should have put the air quotes up so that isn't like put like on a commercial. He attacks teenagers. The tryout dates, May 15th to May 20th. Those are going to be the days. From what I've seen so far, we will definitely be the latest of the clubs that are holding their tryouts. Most are holding them on May 1st or on May 8th. Some are holding it on multiple weeks. The route that I chose to use was 5/15 because on 5/13 is the end of our rec season. And that award ceremony, handing out the whole spiel, to me, that is the greatest advertising promotion that we can have for tryouts, and it will piggyback off of them. Additionally, we are also having people know that beginning May 1st, which is the beginning of the tryout period, from May 1st to May 31st, they are more than welcome to come out and practice, try out with one of our existing teams. We've already had a couple of people I told them they have to register for tryouts. Yep. So I sent them the link. I said that's awesome. Let the coach know these two kids are going to be coming out on May 3rd to your practice session. And I saw today they registered for tryouts. All right. And on the tryout thing that was posted, I had jumped on there and edited it. On the top part, I just put, no cost and no commitment tryout. So I don't want people thinking registration, they're thinking they gotta pay for something or they're tied into something. I just added a little quotation, just whatever, just come, whatever. You don't have to pay anything, you don't have to stay, man. Just, give us a look. Registration for tryouts, Chinoy had set the, program, up in there. I didn't even look at the number, maybe like 20 people, 25 people or something.
No, it's more than that now.
Yeah, I forgot to check. I normally would do that.
We're in 30s now.
All right, is that 30s? All right. Host a tournament, just keep that fresh in your mind. We're not going to talk about it, but the plans aren't going to change. It's going to be either 11-18 or 11-11 of next season. It'll depend on our recreation schedule. It will be called, does anybody remember what the name of it was?
Battle at the shack.
No, that would be cool.
What?
No, just simply striker shootout.
SS.
No, RPBSS it would be. New business. Payments need to be completed prior to May 1st, if we can. How are we looking?
And I actually,
Yes, no, maybe.
Amy and I just spoke about it. But she's going to get you a list to put to the bad standings.
Is there a big number? And are they all on the 19s?
Most of them, yes, are the 19th. And I've been
Listen,
hammering and
I'm
hammering.
spent. I need help. Busy at work. I don't have time for this.
Probably about five or six,
On the 19s or total?
probably total.
5 or 6? And,
Most
but
19.
it's like a big balance due, or just
Yeah,
like
big.
that? See, that sucks. All right, that very much appreciated.
I've been hounding them.
Yeah, although that's not going to matter for some clubs in the area, they're going to do it wearing a different hat.
Like the one that I did.
Or yeah, Palm Beach Gardens Predators. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that out loud. Alrighty. Board and volunteer tryout attendance. For tryouts, we definitely need all the board members there, and we need to get out and get some volunteers, whether they're managers or whatever. The more hands out there, the better. I'm not really sure exactly the schedule. It's already posted, I believe. The girls are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 o'clock to 7:30, small-sided, and then full-sided, 7:30 to 9. And on the boys' side, Tuesday, Thursday, same thing. And then on Saturday, 10 to 12 for the little guys and 12 to 2 for the big guys. So,
Now, can we ask in the rec coaches to be?
anybody, just
Well, because
volunteers.
that's gonna work good for them, so they can understand.
Yeah, plus they can bring out their players, which is nice. So, tryout advertising, the social media, looks like we got the social media thing down. Do we need flyers, signs?
Flyers, yes. We still have the signs that we don't have dates on for last year for the.
All right, and let's get some flyers out ASAP, and again, I guess the schools, if there's a way to do something with the schools before they let out, to be able to, add it in their little packets. I'm not a fan of and please let's never put them on car windows, windshields, because that pisses me off when people do that to me, and I don't even look at what it is.
Can we do the signs in the ground, like at certain corners?
I think we
Yeah,
tried
let's
last
see.
year, but there was
Was there
And
issue?
certain-
Can we do that or no?
certain places.
The in-ground signs?
I guess
where are you
even for
looking at?
I-9 Sports a lot.
Like I was thinking, like if we like put one like on in the lawn, like at Lou's house or Mike's house, and
We put magnets in the CD card.
So so yeah, in your lawns on private property, on the other side of the sidewalks, those are good.
Not in the swales along
Not in the
Royal Palm Beach
swales.
Boulevard.
no swales, no signs.
So like if you see I-9 Sports with signs that, those are probably getting taken up by code enforcement.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
what I think happened.
Yeah,
All
so
right, cool.
a lot of people, they put them out there, and it's like they do it at their own risk, knowing that
And
they're going to
that's
get
in
taken
the
up.
village.
Yeah,
correct?
within the village.
So we have a chance to get them out for a little while.
Loxahatchee, the Acreage, Westlake, Wellington.
Yeah,
Those are temporary.
anything outside of the village, hey,
And when does code enforcement usually drive by?
All
if I
day.
knew, I'd tell you, but I have no idea. Every day.
Can we get something on the marquees
Yeah,
about Royal Palm Beach
for
tryouts and stuff?
Yeah, they're just replacing them.
Just
so I
put,
don't know.
tryouts May 15th to May 20th. Go to rpbstrikers.com to register for tryouts or something, just whatever. It doesn't have to be too detailed.
Want to put our logo on there too?
Put some flyers in the rec center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can we do that?
Yeah,
Put
get
some
flyers in
rec
the rec
center?
center. And we should be able to put it on the website too.
All right, that'd be nice. Very good. Good.
You know, if any of us want to go run down Royal Palm Beach Boulevard with the flag.
Yeah.
Get a sign person.
It's a big flag running down Okeechobee.
What about the signs that you had made for parking?
Oh, yeah. Did I get permission for those signs for parking to put them up? The
There were
reserved
signs?
ones. Yeah,
The block off spots.
I can put a sign that I have made already
So
by the dumpster area, and then I can do for 6 spots. We
yeah,
just
so
take
if
a metal
you're,
pole.
so I was actually under the impression, I thought you were gonna be wanted to paint the
I was going to, but I figured you guys probably would say no to that.
Okay, so let me revisit that one with the signs, but
Was that answer no then?
Yeah.
Okay, figured.
Yeah.
But,
But,
these can be removable if need be.
so yeah, a removable sign.
Like a handicap looking sign thing. Just put it in the ground and then it's got the sign up top.
Okay.
Of course, without the wheelchair and everything.
Yeah, no wheelchair.
Yeah. I don't see issue with that one. But just let me verify it and clear it, and I'll let you know tomorrow.
Perfect.
Alrighty. For summer camp options. Number one, are we gonna do summer camp? And number two, if we do a summer camp, I was bouncing around a couple of things that if what you guys might think would be good, what might not be good. Option number one would be a camp with a variety of like competitive coaches. Maybe even get some rec coaches out there. It's not as taxing on people. That would be one thing. The other thing would be like a beach soccer camp, where it's done at the beach. It's done on the sand. It's it's a little further away, obviously, but it's on it's like outside the box. It's summertime. It's hot. They're probably gonna get rained out anyways, but they have the water to play in, and it might be a little appealing for those
I think
doing
a lot
that.
of them like
And I'm sure I know one person that would love to do something like that.
Well, there's another one
Oh,
too.
two, yeah, because he's out there all the time too. I mean, that might be great. Actually, three.
I hope it's no one.
Yeah, no. It's most like I could actually see 3 of them. 12, 13 girls. Because 13 wants me and him to do one at Cats. Where I think it should be more of a group effort. I don't know, something to think about. Have to decide quick though. But I just thought
You'll
that
need people that don't work in the daytime.
Well, the problem with the beach thing is getting them there and picking out because it's further. It's a thing. And somebody say, no, you do that like at nighttime.
That's not
Say
the
no.
camp.
The purpose of camp is like you don't want to watch your kid during the day, so you're throwing them in camp.
Does the city have a
So think about it. Think
They
about
have,
it.
they have one for their camp.
What is it?
You have a bus for your camp.
No, it don't.
Oh, there isn't a bus anymore?
No.
Oh, that's a long
That
time.
bus is it is out of commission.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta charter them out now.
I've got amounts.
Oh, you charter them?
Yeah.
It's been a long time since my son went to that camp.
I'll send you. No,
It's over
I'll
in
send you
public
the stuff.
public works in the graveyard
We'll
now.
do it that way. And,
Then I can do it at leisure.
and I just, but I'm saying I want to
You did?
get them so that I can start securing them. Hey, here you go. I'd like to add your tax fees in, and if they're getting money while they're being asked, they're more apt to commit to something.
You have to adjourn. You have to adjourn.
Oh, yes, and then a quick chat out there. So we're good. Adjournment of the competitive program at, let's say, 7:55, if somebody would like to make a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the competitive portion of the Royal Palm Beach board meeting
I second that.
All right.
at
we
7:55.
We are adjourned the competitive programs portion at 7:55. I love hitting that thing. Love hitting it.